Threefold practice is first spiritual cultivation, like meditation, chanting, prayer, and Dharma study, like studying, reading scriptures or Koan study. The third part is mindful choice in action, usually by observing the precepts, things like that. Let me focus on spiritual cultivation part today. Practice starts from calming down our mind, from pacifying and tranquilizing our mind. Think about that. When do we make some stupid decision? Or when are we doing something very inappropriate? When we lose control, when we are stressed out, if we are not calm enough, at that time, we usually make unwise decisions or doing some very improper things. When the ripples disappear on the surface of the pond, the surface can reflect the moon very accurately. Likewise, from the tranquil and the calm state of mind, the wisdom, our innate wisdom or prajna, start to reveal. When we are stressed out, when our mind cannot be focused, can we be compassionate? No. Especially for contemporary people, think about our muscle. The more we use our body, the more we use our muscle, our body is getting stronger. But when it comes to our mind, it's the opposite. The more it is put to rest, the more it is brought to a pause, our mind becomes empowered. Basically because we use our mind too much. Even though we think about all the things like that. Yeah. That's why it's called the monkey mind in Buddhism, puppy mind. So spiritual cultivation is the foundation of all spiritual practice. Several years ago, when I worked in Philadelphia, I went to the Philadelphia Art Museum for the special exhibition of Van Gogh. He started to paint probably in his mid-30s or late 30s. And before he killed himself, actually he did not work for a very long years. But we know he's a very prolific artist. When I read the pamphlet, when I roughly calculated the number of years that he worked and the number of his work or his paintings, I was very surprised. Almost in a month, he painted a couple of paintings. Sometimes, of course, it's a little small painting. That means all the things he did, except sleeping and eating, he just painted and painted until he died. He could not stop his mind. His work shows a kind of unstable mind, insanity. Think about that. So many great philosophers, or especially mathematicians, musicians, Schumann, Descartes, they were all bothered by insanity, with very much disturbed mind. They are very intellectual, very inspirational people. Why? They had that kind of a mental instability. Because, as I just talked, their mind, those for intelligent people, are constantly working, and they could not stop their mind. It's just like a car which has an accelerator only, doesn't have a brake. It will eventually cause a traffic accident. That's their mind. That's exactly just like our mind. That's why we need some discipline to be seated on the cushion on a designated time, not in a designated place. So last year, I left my car with a parking light on, and I came back. I could not start the engine because the power is too low. Think about our mind, our mental state. Why so many contemporary people have a short temper, are stressed out, are not persevering, and so on? It is basically because they are too tired. Their energies are really drained out. It is not because they are bad people or they are not patient. The Chinese, there is a Chinese saying, 鼻目比尔成山, which literally means the saddest thing is to disperse, to consume our mental energy. Have you ever seen 3 monkey images under the eaves of the Buddhist or the Taoist temple? 3 monkey images? Have you ever seen that monkey image? Yeah. Do not talk, do not hear, do not see. That's kind of a motto of the Taoist, the spiritual cultivation. Spiritual cultivation starts getting our mind free from not to hearing too much, not to seeing too much, not to talking too much, not to thinking too much. The third headed out the master of one Buddha, Venerable Dosung, when he was alone in his room at night, he usually turned off the light. It is not necessarily to conserve the electric energy. It is basically to conserve his mental energy. He said, a flower in half a bloom is better than a flower in full blossom. A half a moon or crescent moon is better than the full moon. In Taoism, our 6 sense organs are called thieves, in the sense they steal our original mind. They usually say 4 kinds of thieves. The first thief is our eyes. Think about all the commercials on television. It tries to catch our mind through by some visual things. Or ears. Or the commercials are always accompanied by some nice music. So by hearing too much, we also consume our mental energy. When I worked in the Seoul Meditation Center, one day I went out to a nearby mountain for a picnic. And we talked about several things, not a serious thing, but one minister who retired several years ago at that time, actually she has a very weak hearing, so I felt a little sorry. After our conversation, I approached her, and to being polite, I tried to explain. We talked about what we talked about. But she said to me, she smiled and said, no, you do not have to tell me that. I don't think it is the thing that I needed to know. Her word was very, very impressive to me at the time. My teacher said, why when we are old, we start our hearing or eyesight start to fail to a little? It is because one of the reasons is our body, this universe, helps us to conserve our energy when we are old. In Taoism, the third thief is our mouth. Our mouth. The Chinese saying has it that the mouth is the gateway of all calamities. My teacher told me the reason why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth is because we need to listen twice as much as we talk to other people. By talking too much, we constantly drain our energy, and not just draining our energy. Actually, we create a lot of bad karma by mindless talking. That's why almost 1/3 of the Buddhist precepts is related with controlling our tongue. For example, in one Buddhism, do not use harsh speech, or do not speak of the faults of others, do not talk while someone else is talking, refrain from absurd talk, and so on. Now, lots of Buddhist precepts are related with controlling our tongue. And the fourth kind of a thief that steals our original mind is our mind, our thinking mind. People go to Harvard or some very good university not because they are very compassionate or persevering, because they are intelligent. They excel in the thinking capacity. Thinking has become our habit. So even when we sleep, we dream. Dream is a visualized form of our thoughts. Just like the cloud covers the sun, our so many wandering and the racing thoughts really covers the brightness of our original mind. So in order to fill the jar, we first check whether the jar has some leakage or some hole. Likewise, in order to become successful in our spiritual cultivation, the first step is to conserve our energy, not to see much, not to hear too much, not to think too much. So it really required to take some time, whether it is 20 minutes or 30 minutes to practice a sitting meditation on a cushion. But as much as important is to reflect our daily lives. What we are doing, for example, to refresh ourselves when we have available time. It's okay to talk with our friends or to read a magazine or watch television, but is it too much? We really reflect upon our lifestyle. Why don't we work out outside? Or we can do whatever other types of hobby to conserve our energy and refresh ourselves. Would you read that verse 2 on practice? Yeah.
The founding master said, the quickest expedients for practitioners to attain the power of cultivation in both action and rest are as follows. First, in all your actions, do nothing that will disturb or devastate your spirit, and avoid such sensory conditions. Second, do not entertain craving or greed in responding to any matter, but instead habituate yourself to having a dispassionate attitude. Third, when you are doing one thing, don't be distracted by something else, so that you concentrate only on the task at hand. Fourth, in your spare time, pay attention to the reciting of Buddha's name or sitting in meditation.
Okay, thank you. So for the next week, I hope, just as we prayed today, we spend more time in meditation and silence. Okay, thanks so much.